I'm Jeff Cannata, and I'm here with Paul Leiva, the author of Traveling in Space, a fantastic science fiction novel. I was fortunate enough to be able to do the audio version. We teamed up for that.
I was fortunate enough that you did the audio version.
Well, I love this book. I really genuinely love it. It's the story of first contact between aliens and humans.
Right.
But the twist is that it's told from the aliens' perspective.
Right, which I think maybe it has been done before, but most people, when you tell them that, their eyes go wide. So it seems to be, I hope, a unique perspective, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. What was your goal in telling this kind of story?
Well, I've always loved science fiction, both in film and books. But one thing, it suddenly occurred to me that when aliens are portrayed, they're either portrayed coming down here to eat us, take our precious resource of water, or mate with our women, take our women. It's always the women. I've never known them to want to take the guys, probably because they have good taste. I don't know. They're either that kind of an alien, or they're just out to destroy us.
Right.
They don't really announce why. They just start hitting us and bang, bang, boom, boom. Or they come down here to uplift us and to make us more humane or alienane.
Right, yeah.
But more like angels, so we can go out into space and not cause a lot of problems. And I thought, well, really, you know, we're such a backwater. The Earth really isn't a backwater of the galaxy, much less the universe. That if aliens ever got here, it probably would be a mistake.
Right.
Because why would anybody plan to be here? It would be a lot like, you know, planning your vacation to go to Fresno. I can't imagine anybody doing that. So they would stumble upon us and suddenly go, oh, look, there's life down there. Let's go take a look. And I always felt that aliens, no matter how advanced they would have to be actually be doing interstellar travel, which may be trouble, you never know. Despite that, they would probably have their own individual quirks. The society would have quirks, the species would have quirks. Aliens are often portrayed as looking exactly the same, wearing the same sort of costumes,
right,
and all that. Why would that be? Why wouldn't they be basically a future projection of where we might go if we're lucky?
Yeah. And the cool thing about the conceit is that it allows me as the reader to think about human culture from an outside perspective. And you get a chance to examine all facets of culture: religion, war, love, food, yeah.
It's sex.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really interesting way of flipping the script and allowing me as a reader to think outside the box. It's great.
Outside our atmosphere.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Well, that's the purpose. I'm a satirist, and it was a perfect way to take a look. So it's I've referred to it as the 21st century Gulliver's Travels. So it's a way to look at human society, but instead of creating an alien world, which in Gulliver's, in a sense, he goes off and finds these, despite being on Earth, they're like alien societies.
Right.
And it focused back on his society back in England. I just taken it from the point of view of the aliens looking at our society as it is and how they would respond and react. It's their response and react wherein the satire lies, because they're, in a sense, they're both extremely knowledgeable but naive.
Right.
Because they're unknowledgeable about this race. They're learning, and in the process of learning, we can point out things.
And they really are expressed as the next evolutionary step of humankind. It's us in 1,000 years or 2,000 years,
or even
potentially
10,000 years. It's a metaphor for where I hope we go, which is not perfection, because I don't believe there is perfection.
Right.
It's maturity.
Yeah.
It's not acting like spoiled children anymore, which is happening all over the world still.
Yeah.
But despite what it seems on the nightly news, it's happening less percentage-wise than it ever has happened in the history. We have matured. We're more mature than we were 1,000 years ago. So the hope of mankind is we continue with that maturation and put aside childish things. Yeah,
so it's very optimistic and it's very hopeful, and yet you still retain these flaws in their culture. They're not, as you said, not perfect.
Yeah, the aliens aren't perfect, and certainly the humans aren't perfect.
Right.
But then comedy is only works when you're pointing out human frailty. Mm-hmm. That's what comedy is all about.
Right.
You know, Lucy wasn't the perfect wife, mother, or singer.
Yeah.
I mean, so you don't have comedy when you're talking about perfection.
Yeah.
And that's good, I guess.
So now we've come to the this end of this long project of you and I working together with our editor and producer as well in creating the audio version of the book.
The audiobook.
So what was your goal in having an audiobook?
To take, in a sense, the experience of a book to the next level. I mean, I love the spoken word audio recordings. I love the human voice. I love performance. I love what a good actor, and I mean good actors, can do with the voice to bring color to the words of the author. Because as an author, maybe I side with the author, but I love performance. And when my publisher, Dave Doody of Blüroof Press, he saw me give a reading from the book, which authors do. That's part of what you go out and do. And he loved it. It's the first time he saw me read from it. And he said, "That's great. Let's do an audiobook. You can read it." And I said, "No, Dave, I refuse," which shocked him. And I said, "Look, Dave, I may be a ham, and I am, and a good one, but I am not an actor. There's a difference. I've not been trained. One, I would blow my voice up just in trying to do everything." I said, "But I have in mind a very, very good actor." And that was Jack Lemmon.
Unfortunately, he passed away.
No, my first thought was Jeff Cannata, because I had worked with you a couple times, but the first time was a stage reading of a one-act play by Ray Bradbury, which I directed for Ray Bradbury Week in Los Angeles, celebrating his 90th birthday. And you were cast. A casting agent recommended you. This casting agent also helped me get James Cromwell, Academy Award nominee, Emmy winner. Seamus Dever, who plays the great Irish cop in the Castle TV series, and you, a total unknown. So,
it's true.
No, he's not a total unknown. I have found subsequently, boy, are you known in the internet, which is probably better than any other place. But I was the role I had for you was as an English person, an Englishman, late 50s, early 60s. And I wanted someone who could do a natural English accent. I assumed it was sort of not a posh accent, but not not an East End accent either. So the only real question I had for you over the phone, because you don't audition for a one-night stage reading. You know, you grab your actors and you hope that they can do what they can do. And I just said, "Can you do an English accent?" And you said yes. And I took that on faith. I didn't even ask you to do it over the phone. I don't know why. Because I'm an idiot. In any case, we gathered together to have our first table read. You come out with your first line. This is where I'm crossing my fingers. And you came out with the most natural English accent that I thought you were born in England. It was perfect. More importantly than that, you came out being that character. You were in the skin of the character from moment one as you were rehearsing and reading. And I knew that, I forget who that casting agent was, but I love him because he obviously knows talent. So, when Dave said, "Let's do an audiobook," you were the first person, believe me, to come to mind. Well, and I'm so glad.
Well, I'm glad because after I read the book, I'd wanted to do an audiobook for a long time. I'm a fan of audiobooks and had been wanting to narrate a book, but I feel particularly lucky that this was the first book that I got a chance to do because one of the things we share is a love of language, and I love the way you use words, the selection of words, and the musicality of your writing, and the rhythm of your writing. The book is very funny and also very moving. It goes back and forth between tones very adeptly, and to be able to speak those words and have fun with your sentences in the way that you do, and play characters against each other in these wonderful little vaudevillian sketches almost.
That's
great.
what I call them, vaudeville.
Yeah.
Which is a patter or back and forth dialogue between people. But it's also, there are, I hope, moving scenes. I mean, there's genocide in the book. But there's also, we just got a Twitter, you just got a Twitter message that you shared with me that I loved, where the guy actually tweeted before he finished the book, but he just finished a scene. It's an interrogation scene of a man who causes a riot. We won't explain the whole situation, but he causes a riot in Las Vegas, and then he's captured by the police, and he's being interrogated by the police, and he gives a long, essentially, monologue of what had happened in his life that led him up to the point where that happened. It's long, it's detailed, and man, you really captured it. And this person who, after hearing it, had to stop and Twitter that he was blown away by your performance in this, as was I when you actually.
Well, it's a beautiful piece of writing. It's one of my favorite sections of the book, and it's so gratifying to hear people have responded to it in that way. I certainly responded to it when I read it, and it feels very satisfying that we managed to convey that. And I think hearing it is even perhaps more evocative, because it is this singular voice, this man by himself in this room, and it's a very emotional moment, and I really love that.
Well, you try to get that in your writing, and I always try to write for the human voice. I try to write as if people will only hear it being read out loud.
Oh wow, that's great. It is a wonderful book. It's something I'm so pleased to have been associated with it, and it's rare to find a work that makes you laugh, makes you cry, and challenges you to think in new ways as well. So I mean, it's exactly what you want science fiction to be, and I'm not just saying that because I did this. I genuinely like the book, and am so glad that people are responding to it. I love getting all that feedback as well. Well, I hope that you will take a chance on Traveling in Space, listen to the audiobook or read it, or both. Now with WhisperSync, you can actually do both at the same time and go back and forth. It's wonderful, yeah. It's really great. It's available on Audible, it's available on Amazon, it's available on iTunes. It's something that we are both very proud. I'm very proud of, and
I'm very proud to have had Jeff perform my words.
Well, yes. So give it a shot. Traveling in Space by Paul Leiva. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank everybody.